Hello. Hello. Test. Can y'all hear me? Hello, everyone. A lot of people here already. How many people are here? Let's see here. 23? Hi. Thank you so much for being here. Sorry I'm late. It's a new lifestyle nowadays. Wife had to go to two places to get some food and supplies. And, yeah, you have to wipe down everything now, which is so different, and we're just wiping down everything and trying to get to this stream because I promised you all 10 o'clock, but thank you so much for waiting. How's everyone doing? I want to say hi to everyone in the chat room right now and tell me, where are you all from? We got first one in here was Ranjan, then Russ, Julio, Juan, Mark, Tom, Idu, not sure if I'm saying your name right, Jeff, Parker Thompson, what's up? Colleen, hi again. Jeff B, Roger, thank you so much for being here. Daniel, how are you? Where are you? So we have Norway, Brussels, Brazil, Brooklyn, New York. Oh man, New York. Please stay safe, Mark. Oh, please. I'm hoping for the best for you and everyone. But welcome. Spain, Canton, Ohio, Denton, Texas, Portugal. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Oh, thank you. I forgot about this. Thank you. Forgot my coffee. I made it, but I didn't drink it. I was super busy. Cheers, everyone. Okay, now we can begin. Maybe we should start that from now on. There's one of my favorite streamers, Kit Boga from Twitch. He always has him and his community all drink tea together. Maybe we should drink coffee or tea together. Whatever you have right now, cheers. Let's make it a good Saturday. And if it's already evening in your area, hope it was a great Saturday for you. So what are we going to be learning today? We're going to be learning the basics. We're going to go straight to the basics because I know there's a lot of people signing up for Webflow because they're stuck at home, doing the safe thing, doing the right thing, which is self-quarantining. And if you have nothing else to do but learn something new, Webflow is here. And I want to show you some of the basics. So I'm not going to cover everything in this stream. I'm going to cover the things in between the videos of the Webflow University already has. Okay, so the Webflow education team, they have beautiful, awesome, and funny tutorial videos to help you get started Webflow. University.webflow.com. I cannot recommend that enough. Everyone in the Webflow community, everyone in the no-code community knows about these videos, and they enjoy them. So please watch them. Now, some people in the community say that the videos go too fast, and that's where this stream is going to come in, and that's where some of my recorded videos are going to come in. Okay, so if you have any questions, if you're just jumping into Webflow and you're new to either Webflow or even new to web design, this is the stream to start asking your questions. Okay, and yeah, without further ado, let's begin. But also, one more thing. So this morning, as I was walking my daughter around in stroller, I was thinking, how come people still think it's okay to go outside, it's okay to gather during this pandemic? And I had this thought, the reason why people still don't believe it's a real thing is because they can't see it. They can't smell it. They can't, So I was thinking, what if, what if this thing, this virus made people fart uncontrollably? So everyone around you is farting and they can't help it. You'd want to stay away from everyone else, right? Because like if you smell it, you're like, oh, okay, no, I'm gonna stay back. But if you farted, you're kind of used to your own smell, right? So like self quarantine, because like you can handle yourself, but other people can't handle your scent. So like let's stay away. Let's stay away. Um, and if you have to go to the grocery store or something like that, you still don't want to be around other people who are farting all the time and they can't control it. So you have to wear a mask, right? So you can filter out that smell. So wear a mask, please. And then, yeah, once we find the vaccine, the cure for this uncontrollable fart, then we can go back to normal, right? I don't know. Just trying to make light of this situation, but yeah, it just confuses me when people still think, I'm just gonna get with my friends. No, it doesn't work like that. Anyways, let's learn some Webflow. And if you would like to, wait, where's that other thing? Donate link. Where is it? I don't know. So if you want to donate to the stream, you can just click on the $, and then your donation will show up on the stream. Or if you want to subscribe, your subscription will also show on the stream. I'm trying out Streamlabs OBS, but let's go. Let's do some happy things. All right. So again, this is very, very basics of Webflow. Okay, we're gonna start talking about the UI of Webflow. So when you first get into Webflow, you see this. Okay, and we'll start from the left, go to the top, and then go to the right. Right. So the left side, the most important part is your add panel. Okay, so this is where all your elements are. So if you haven't heard or not familiar with HTML and CSS, this part is your HTML part. Okay, this is all the things you need to write or to make a website work. Okay, so think of it as your Lego bricks. Okay, but these Lego bricks, they don't have any colors. They don't have any amount of pegs or anything. It's just bricks. And so you have your box of Lego bricks and you put them on the table, and the table is this white part right here. Okay, so if you want to start making your website real, you would take something like, okay, I'm going to take a heading, put it in here, and congrats, if you've never wrote HTML before, you just did by dragging that in. Okay, and you can prove that you wrote HTML by clicking on this button right here, export code. And there you go. See, what you wrote is H1 heading and then closing H1. All right, so this is just writing. This is just like writing HTML. And again, if you have any questions while I'm going through this, let me know in the chat and I will get to it. So dragging a paragraph. Okay, so export code. What did it do? There you go. So it added, I have the heading that I wrote, and then the P for paragraph, and then the ending paragraph. Okay, and so you can do that and just explore web design and Webflow by just dragging in things and seeing what that HTML code is. So visually, you're learning HTML. If you drag in a button, how did that happen? Well, you have an anchor tag, and then you have this thing, and then you have, I'm not sure, if you're not familiar with CSS, then you might be wondering what is a class, and then you have a button text, and then the ending anchor tag. So this is a very easy way to learn HTML, just by dragging in stuff and just looking at the code. This is how I actually learned HTML back in the day of GeoCities. Back in the GeoCities, there was a wizard mode, a basic wizard mode. So you would fill out this form step by step, and once you got to the final step and press publish, you have a web page. But then they had an advanced mode where they just show the code, and it's up to you to figure out what happens. And this is the same thing. You know, you drag in something. What did that do? Click on export code and just see what it did. All right. But you don't have to write it, but you're learning it visually. All right. A question from Daniel saying, I got a question wondering about for so long, maybe a bit advanced, but where can I learn to understand what I'm seeing and inspect on a website quicker than learning all code? Where can I learn what I'm seeing and inspect? Yeah, I mean, it's just a lot of trial and error, but there's also a place called W3 Schools. Yeah, w3schools.com, and this will, has so many different examples of HTML and CSS and even JavaScript to help you learn. So w3schools.com is a great place to go, Daniel. All right. So this is the ad panel. You have everything from your layout elements, your typography, media, forms, and then common components that are used around the internet. Okay. Hey, 20G, how you doing? Hey, the kid. Okay, so now that we know that this is HTML, let me break this down a little bit more. Okay, so in this panel, there's basic HTML and there's pre-styled Webflow components. Now, a basic HTML element is things like heading, paragraph, and text block, okay? And div block. Let me show you the difference. If I drag in a div block and I look at the code, all it is just div and then closing div. Nothing else. That's basic. Now, if I drag in a container, so what's the difference between a container and a div block? Well, if I go to the code, if you see that Webflow automatically adds a class to the element, that means it's pre-styled. Okay, so Webflow already added CSS to this element. And the reason why we do that is because we want to help you prototype or help you build your website faster. Okay, so there's these kind of things that you need to remember in the back of your mind, like, oh, this one is already pre-styled, so I'm going to use this. Okay, so out of the box, I don't need to have a thin div. I don't have to go like this. For example, like this div block right here, I'm going to call it my container. And I'm going to give it a width of 960 and then a height of 75 and then center it. Or actually 940. All right. So I've set these styles up myself with this basic div. However, I could have done that even faster by just dragging in a pre-styled container. Okay. Yes, Don, you'll be able to watch this video later on this same link. So that's the difference. Now, let me drag in another basic element. Okay, so I'm going to drag in a paragraph. If I look at the code, and we've seen it before, but I'm going to show you again, the P tag is basic. We've added some lorem ipsum filler copy so you can actually see your paragraph. And then we end it with a closing P tag. Okay? Now, if I drag in, say, a block quote and look at the code. Oh, that's a basic one too. Hold on. Trixie, okay. Okay, so what I said is if there's a class already with a element, then Webflow already gives it a style. I was expecting this block quote to also have a class because it's already pre-styled. If you see here, can I zoom in? How do I zoom in with Mac? I don't know. Okay, whatever. If you look right here on the very left edge, there's a gray thick line. And also, this text is bigger than this. So it's already pre-styled, but how to see it is to click in the selector and right here, the HTML tag, all block quotes. So everything that's blue is what Webflow already styled for you. So there's my padding, there's my font size, my line height, and my border. What's up?
Charger.
Oh, okay. It's in our room. Yeah. All right. So, yeah, that's a anomaly. But let's keep going. This button, okay, so this, let's see here. This link block versus button. So this link block, if I go here to look at the code, the link block, it has a class. Okay? So it's pre-styled. Same thing with this button. This one is definitely pre-styled because obviously we didn't give it a blue color and we didn't give it any padding. We just dragged it in. So it's pre-styled. Okay? And some elements that are pre-styled, you can already tell because they have numbers in the box, in the padding. And also obviously this is pre-styled because it has a background color. All right? So that's HTML. And lastly, just to let you know, obviously, all of these right here, everything in these categories are all pre-styled, especially these components. Because, for instance, Lightbox, it already is pre-styled with CSS and also has JavaScript, so it can actually work as a real Lightbox. Okay? Does that make sense? Everyone got it? Yeah. Let's see here. Oh, thank you, Colleen. Colleen bought me coffee. You rock. Cheers to you. Yeah, if you want to donate, it's there the $sign or buymeacoffee.com/pixelgeek. That's what Colleen did. Thank you so much. All right, so that's the Add Elements panel. Another new thing that Webflow did was layouts, and so this makes it much easier to create your site. For example, if you need a hero row, just drag that in. Boom. Webflow did all the HTML and CSS for you to get you going. This is good if you already know what is happening. Excuse me. So if you already understand Flex and if you already know Flexbox, then this is simple for you. But if you don't, you'll be like, okay, this is cool. Now, how do I style it? Like, how do I customize it? And if you start customizing it without understanding the fundamentals, then you could be breaking a lot of stuff. And so this becomes not useful for you. All right. So you have those layouts. All right. Sam, any idea how to bring across element and page triggers into a new page or from a clone? Yes, you can just copy and paste that from one page to another page. Or if you clone a project from your, if you clone a project and it lives in your dashboard, you can just open up both your projects, the one that you cloned and the one that you want to copy things over to. So you just copy in one browser tab from the cloned project and then go to the other browser tab to the destination and paste it there. We call that cross-site copy paste. And it was one of the awesome features that the community has asked for a long time. And once we launched it, it was like, oh, yay. Because what's cool about it is not only does it grab the HTML, it also grabs the CSS and any interactions that are set on that element. That part blew my mind. So, yeah. What's the best way to reach me? Twitter, twitter.com/thepixelgeek. Hold on, my wife's calling me. Yeah. Breakfast? Yeah. Sorry about that. Okay. Moving on. So that's the add elements panel. Here, let me put my Twitter account. The Pixel Geek. I'll do my best to respond to DMs. I have a long list of DMs, but I do my best. I do my best. Let's see here. Okay, Navigator. So if you're familiar with like Figma, Sketch, Photoshop, Illustrator, whatever, this is kind of like your layers panel. Okay, but a bit different. What do I mean? Let me dock it real quick. Okay, now it's docked. Let me just add stuff. Heading. Let me go. Okay, so I copied and pasted a couple times. Call this 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right, cool. Now, oh wait, there it goes. So if you see here, in Photoshop or something like that, the topmost layer is the one. The topmost layer is the one that shows up first. Okay, but the most bottom one will show up last. Yeah, that makes sense, right? And that's the same way how browsers read code. So whenever you're putting elements onto a page, a browser will read code from the top to the bottom. And so when we're putting code into our page, whatever we want to show first will be first, and then second, third, and so forth. Okay? If I want to group things, kind of like when you're making folders inside of Photoshop or something, you can do so using a div block. So bring in a div block, and then I can drag in, so I'm dragging things into this div block, and I can drag to the left or right, and there we go. So these right here, notice how we're in a box, and let me move it away. There we go. Here we go. So we have this set of elements. Okay? So that's one way to group things. Okay? So when you do this, now you're playing around with what we call parents and children and siblings and grandchildren and stuff like that. So what this means is how the browser reads elements when they're grouped in divs and other things. So the body, now I'm going to explain parents and children, okay? So body is the parent of all of the elements, okay? So if this is the parent, then these are the children, okay? Everything here is a child, and that's why we indent it one time. However, this also has children. So now this body has grandchildren right here, okay? If I go here, this is a child of this. And so this is a parent, and these are its children. And if these are the children, then each of these on this same indentation are siblings. It's just like a family tree. All right. So whenever you hear people talking about child, parent, and grandparent relations when it comes to HTML, this is what they mean. All right. Now let me know if I'm going too fast or talking about concepts that are still confusing. and I'll do my best to break it down even more. Okay? All right. So, super duper basic HTML stuff. Okay, now for pages. This is super basic. Again, you have static pages, which static pages are things for like your homepage, about us, contact. They're one-off static pages. Okay? These aren't for blog pages. Blog pages is when you have a shell, okay? So you have a shell, kind of like Mad Libs, okay? You have this Mad Libs page, and you have all these blank underlines that you need to fill in. And so that's what a blog page is like. You're taking this Mad Lib and you're putting in that blog data from a database dynamically. You don't want to make 100 static pages for all 100 of your blog posts, and you have to make that layout over and over and over again. No, you want to do it dynamically, and that's where the Webflow CMS comes in. Okay, and I'll talk about that later. So this is your pages, and if you need a new static page, just do so right here. If you want to make subfolders for your pages, you can from right here. Utility pages, so this is stuff for like if you're password protecting a page or a subfolder of pages or your whole site, you can style what the protected page looks like from here. And for your 404 page, it's nice to style this because if people get to your site and then they get to a wrong page or page not found, you can style this, and that's where that's at. If you enable e-commerce pages, it'll show up here. And then the CMS collection pages, like I talked to you about, like blog posts, they'll show up here. Okay. CMS, if we have time, we'll get to that. E-commerce, we don't have time for it. This is the assets panel. So this is where you can put your JPEGs, PNGs, GIFs, and also text documents, PDFs, DocX, stuff like that. Oh, and Lottie files. So you can put stuff here. Can you put audio files? No. Can you put video files? No. Okay, this is just for those basic assets. Lastly, settings. And you have your site search. So if you want to put a search engine just for your site inside of Webflow, you can. And backups. So how backups works is for every 20 changes you make on your web page, Webflow makes a auto backup that you can get refer back to. Okay. However, if you want to make your own checkpoint, for example, I always make a backup before I start editing a site someone else was editing or that I haven't touched in a long time. Like a client would be like, hey, Nelson, it's been 3 months, but hey, can we add this new function to the site? Sure, why not? Hold on, let me make a backup. And I usually make backups with funny names like before Nelson messes things up. And Webflow will already mark the date and time, so you don't have to worry about that. But it's nice to make some sort of backup name that helps remind you of what is about to happen, or just leave a good backup name. So you can make a new backup by pressing the new backup button, or let's see here, is it Command Shift S or Control Shift S on Windows. All right, so that's the left panel. If you ever need any help, on the bottom left there's a question mark, and so you can always get help from the Webflow University or go to our community forum or send a bug request like you want a bug. No, a bug report. All right. So that's backups saved me some headaches yesterday. I didn't even realize it was there before. Yep. Backups. So awesome. All right. So that's that. Any questions so far before I move on? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, moving on. Let me go back here. Okay, so we're on the home page. So preview, just the eyeball. Okay, it will remove the side element or the side panels on Webflow, and so you can see what your page may look like. I'm going to stress may, because it's not the complete story. All right, this is just a quick preview for your interactions or what your site may look like. And the reason why I say may is because if you have any custom code that you've added, if you embedded any widgets like a live chat or a Instagram embedded feed or something like that, some sort of widget you took from a third-party platform, when you click preview, those will not work. To fully preview your site, click on publish and then publish your site, and then go to the published version of your site. Okay? So there are times when things look weird and wonky, or things just don't work when you click on preview. All right? And that's because there's a lot of things happening behind the scenes in Webflow. Like, there's so much magic that it like blows my mind. But as with any software, it's not 100%. To see what your actual site looks like and how it works, you have to press publish and look at it from a new browser tab. If you want to go even further with your testing, if you have take out your mobile phone and test it there. If you have a tablet, test it there. If you have access to other browsers, or even a actual browser testing platform, use that. All right. But again, this preview is just a quick preview. Okay. Sesan, how do I add video background if I can't import a video? How do I add well, so what Sesan is asking is this background video element. The only supported formats you can upload are WebM, MP4, MOV, and OGG. And also the file has to be under 30 megs. If you can't import the video, if you can't upload the video, then what I always tell people is make sure that the video isn't corrupted. Like, sometimes files are corrupted, or the file name has the file name has weird characters in it. So it's always good to just have letters and numbers and dashes. Don't use file names that have like hashes or other different characters in it, or even spaces. Keep the file names clean. And if that doesn't work, try uploading with the incognito mode window on your browser, because maybe one of the browser extensions that you have installed on your browser is conflicting with the Webflow code. So try those three things. Ranjan is asking, question, I'd like to nest my pages, but I can only do that at one level. I'd like to go further. Yeah. Hi, Bent. Welcome back. So yeah, you can... Wait, hold on. No, you can make more than one. Level 1. Create. So you have level 1. And then I can create new folder. Level 2. Oops. Level 2. And then I can make the parent folder of level 1, level 2. The parent folder is level 1. And remember, I'm talking about parents and children. That's one of the things right there. And so if you understand that terminology, then that makes more sense. And then there you go. See? I can go here and make a new folder, and the parent folder of it will be level 2, and this will be level 3. Add a new page in there. So yeah, you can make subfolders within subfolders. So it is possible. Cool. Okay, Ben says, I've sent you a message last week via your website about some lesson for beginners. You had a friend who might be able to help with it. Did you receive it? It's been a crazy week, so if I didn't get to it, I'm so sorry. Oh, yeah, okay. Remind me. Oh, man. So many things happening. Sorry, Ben. All right, I'll get to it. I promise. All right, next. So the preview. All right. Now, breakpoints. What are breakpoints? So what does your web page look like in different widths? I'm not going to say heights, only widths. All right. So this width, which is, let's see here. What does it say? Yeah, this is the base breakpoint. So this goes all the way up to here, 992. And you can see 992 at the bottom. Look for the ruler at the bottom when I'm dragging this. Okay? So this right here goes all the way down to 992. So let's go ahead and put a layout in. We'll put the hero. And so this is what this page looks like when I go down to 992. Now, if I go down to this for 991, so if I look at this, see how it says on tablet? It says 991 pixels and down. So that's widths. So 991 and all the way down. Okay. So 991 and then all the way down. Okay. So that's what it looks like. Now, what does this look like on mobile landscape? Now, FYI, there is not many people who browse the internet in mobile landscape, all right? But it's always good to design for that because you'll never know if there's, well, actually, what if someone's browsing with a Galaxy Fold and then this is the breakpoint? I don't know. There's just so many things happening in web design. Because you have phones that fold or the Z Flip. But anyways, it's always good to design for as many breakpoints as possible and in between them. So this goes down all the way here. And notice how this stacks now. And the reason why this is stacking, so this is side by side and this one's stacking, is because, let's open this right here. So these are all the elements. So if I look at Flex Container, look at how the direction is changed to vertical. And I'll get to this panel. I know this panel looks crazy, especially to people who are new to Webflow or web design. I'll get to this one. This is the big one, but I'm just showing you. If I go here, the direction is horizontal. If I go here, the direction is vertical. And so that's how they stacked it. Okay. If I go here, we're still fine. Yeah. And look at the I love this new Easter egg. If you look, 256 pixels, that's for the Nintendo Entertainment System. That's nice. Yeah. So we're designing for the original NES, everyone. It's awesome. Russ, spent some time. Your grid videos really helped. Oh, awesome. I need to start interactions, but don't know how to go about it. I want to hit an arrow and have content images change in multiple locations like a slideshow, but in multiple spots. Okay, that's a very advanced question. I'll try to get to it at the end if you could remind me. Yeah. So that's breakpoint. Now what we've introduced, well, what Webflow's introduced is new breakpoint. So if you click on this, I'm calling it a kebab menu. So if you click on this kebab menu, you can design for even larger breakpoints, okay? And maybe in the future we'll add a fourth one that's like the football stadium breakpoint. I don't know, because they have large screens. Anyways, you can enable these by just clicking on it and you can design for even bigger, for larger breakpoints. All right. Yeah, this is undo and redo your save state. If something goes wrong, you'll see a red Wi-Fi icon here. If that ever happens, again, try using an incognito mode window or refresh the page, because bugs do happen. And if things still don't work, just go ahead and submit a ticket to the support team and we'll get back to you. Export code. So if you want to take the code and host it somewhere else and not use Webflow, then you can use this. But if you're not familiar with setting up your own servers or stuff like that, then it's best to just stay in Webflow and host through Webflow, because you get a lot of good security and flexibility with Webflow hosting. All right, this right here, share project. So this is pretty cool because you can turn this on and click copy, and you can send this link over to anyone. And I'll put, oh, I can't put it in, let's see here. There we go. Like, just like I did right now in the chat, you can send this link to anyone and they'll be able to access your site and mess around with it. However, if you go to that link, for instance, I'm going to go to it right now, it'll have this caution sign. And this caution sign means it's in read-only mode. The changes will not be saved. So if you ever have a question like, hey, you're asking the Webflow community, hey, I'm having so much trouble with this design interaction or whatnot, can someone help me? Then you can send this link with your message, and a friend can go in, mess around with things, and see how you built your site, all without saving anything or changing any of your project. So it's kind of like inspecting your code and messing around to see what works, what doesn't work, or what's causing the issue that you're trying to explain. And this will help your friends debug it. Okay. This is also good to send to support team members of Webflow, because usually when we're like, okay, I understand, I see your problem, but I don't know what site you're talking about. So there's tickets when we don't get any links. We just get, hey, something's wrong with the site. Okay, well, give me a link. So this is the link we're talking about. All right. So again, share, turn that on, copy, send it to your friends. What's a collaborator? A collaborator is someone who edits your site, like your client or someone who's like a blog post author, and you want to invite them to edit the content and images of your site, or add, delete, edit blog posts, but they don't have access to change the layout or styles of your site. So that's what a collaborator is. Okay. Lastly, publish. So you can publish to a free webflow.io link or publish to a custom domain name. And yeah. And the cool thing about this publish, when you click publish, it does so many things. It backs up on Amazon web servers. It sends your code and images over to a content delivery network almost everywhere in the world. And then, and it does all of that and minifies your code and then makes your CMS, where it does so many things with one click and you don't have to worry about it. So that's the cool thing about publish. Okay. Now, Taylor, love your mega menu tutorial. Yay! Glad you liked it. All right, so here we go. This panel right here is crazy. It is almost every single CSS property that is compatible with most modern browsers. So that's why you see so many buttons, because what you're doing is one button press is actually writing CSS. Now, let me show you a pro tip. If you want to learn CSS and you want to learn what Webflow is doing behind the scenes, here's a pro tip. Click on or hover over the question mark, and then click CSS Preview. A lot of people don't know about this yet. So you get this little draggable window on top of your project. All right? Put it anywhere. But this is a cool way to learn CSS. Just like I showed you how to learn HTML, you put in an element, you click on export code, and then you see the HTML that you're looking at. This CSS Preview is an even faster way for you to learn. So for example, if I click on if I click on the hero element, so I clicked here in this area, which is actually hero, look at all the CSS. That's what Webflow is writing for you. So display block, this is display. It has block. Padding top, 100 pixels. That's what this is. Padding bottom, 100 pixels. That's what this is. All right. Align item center. What? I don't see that here. That's interesting. All right. Hero : small. What does that mean? So if I go to the smallest, I'm guessing it's this one. The smallest? No, this one. Okay, here. So this is small, and I'm guessing this is extra small. Okay, so this is small, and you have 40, 20, 40, 20, 40, 20, 40, 20. All right. So that's what that's doing. Okay. So if I want to change something, let's change the background. Okay. So I'm going to go down here and I'm going to change the background color to light blue. And look, as I'm dragging this, that CSS is changing in real time. And to me, when I first learned Webflow, when I first played around with it, that blew my mind. The fact that I'm writing CSS without writing CSS in real time is, to have that capability is amazing. So I'm learning CSS visually. Okay? So another thing, like imagine coding a gradient. Look what I'm doing. Imagine coding a gradient by hand. There. Imagine coding this background dash image linear gradient 150 degrees HSLA. No. I used to go to a different website, make the CSS code for linear gradients, and then copy that code, paste it into my code, and then preview it. Oh, doesn't work. I want to change something. Have to go back to that other website. No. This is it. So you're learning CSS. And if I want to delete it, I can just click on the blue link, click reset, and there we go. We're back to square one. Okay? So that's CSS. I'm not going to explain every single button, but I'm going to explain some of the basics that you need to know. Hey, Super Arthur, welcome from Netherlands. Hope you had a great Saturday. All right, so here we go. Display block. Display block means it takes up the full width of the page and it takes up its own row. Display flex. You'll need to learn that more in Webflow University, but what it does is, like the tooltip says, it lays out its child elements. We know what children are. So if this is the parent, the child elements are the flex container. Okay? It just has one child, so it's the flex container. So if I click on this, nothing really happens because there's only one child. If I put a second child, I'm going to drag in a div block. Look what happens. Now, let's make that div block width of 300 by 250 and give it a background color of blue. So notice how on hero, I have display flex and the direction is horizontal. So that means they're going to be in one row and they're going to be horizontal. They're going to be in one row with each other. If I do vertical, that's what happens. Now you have the first child on top, second child on the bottom. If I go horizontal again, first child is first, and then the second child in the same line. If I want to flip them in order, I can just drag one before the other. And so now this div block is before this. And so that's what Flex does. All right, that's just a little bit about what Flex does, okay? Grid, again, Webflow University to understand grid, or I can do a full video of that sometime later. But grid lets you create a grid. When you click on it, and I know if you're new to Webflow, when you click a button and then even more buttons show up, and then you click another button and even more buttons show up, like a rabbit hole, yes, Webflow is a rabbit hole, because what it's trying to do is, again, put every single piece of CSS code that works across all modern browsers and modern devices, trying to put all of that into one panel. It's gonna get confusing, but these streams and the Webflow University will help you as much as possible, and the Webflow community. So just ask questions, and in my opinion, click and break things and then fix it and learn. All right. So grid is a way to make your own custom grid. Okay. So display inline lets you display things in one row. And if it goes beyond the width of the body, the parent, then it'll wrap to the next line. So let's go ahead and I'm going to put in another div block. I'm going to put in another div block, but it's going to be a child of the body. It's not going to be a child of hero. It's going to be a child of body. And I set that div block to 250 width, 250 height, and set this to display inline. And look, they're all in one line. It kind of works like Flexbox, but not really. May sound confusing. All right. This one right here, so this is inline block. This is inline. This is mainly used for text. All right, not blocks. And then display none. It just hides it. It doesn't remove the HTML. It just visually hides it. And all it does is writes display none. All right. Box model. This is important. Let me delete these. Let me bring in a cat. Cat. Which one? Pick a cat. I will choose, actually, cat box. We'll use, you look funny. Let me put you in my desktop. And, aha. Cat box. Okay. This is what I like to call cat box model or box model. This is a CSS fundamental. Okay. Let me delete him real quick. If I drag in a div block, you have these things right here. Okay. So you have a box. What are things that like to go in boxes? Cats. So we're going to put a cat in the box. So we have the cat and we have the box. And we'll call this the box. Now, with everything on the web, everything starts at the top left. and then goes to the left and wraps down to the next row, and then goes to the right and goes down to the next row, goes to the right, goes to the next row. All right. Would you mind going full screen again? This is full screen. Not sure what you mean. So if you want to add packing peanuts or styrofoam around the cat to keep the cat safe, you would add padding. And so I can add padding to the top, add padding to the sides and bottom. So see, I'm holding shift right now and dragging up and down. So see that green, the green area, that's my padding. All right. Now, the edges, the line of the box is what we call the border. So if we scroll down here, we have border. Give it a style of solid and a width of, say, 10 pixels. This is your border. This is like your cardboard of your box. Okay, so let's make it brown. All right. So we have the packing peanuts, which is padding, and then we have the border, which is the actual box. Now, if I set this to display inline block, and then copy and paste these two blocks. So let's make this box a width of, there we go, 350. Okay, because I want them to be on all one line. So we have these two boxes. We have padding. Now what's margin? Margin, if you have two boxes next to each other and you want to move them away from each other, you can play around with the margin. And so, cat box. You have the content in the box. You have the padding. You have the border. And then you have the margin. Cat box model. Does that make sense? All right. So that's a very fundamental thing. If you look at websites with this thought that everything is just a box within boxes within boxes, then you're good to go, because that concept is for every single website. When you're making a design, if you think about wireframes, think about boxes. How do boxes fit inside of boxes within boxes? And then how do those boxes look in different layouts? Like this one right here, we can't have a width of 350, so I'm going to set it to auto. There we go. All right. Again, if this doesn't make sense, please let me know. Raka is saying, can you change the CSS by changing the code in the CSS preview? No, you cannot. So this CSS preview is only as a preview. Okay. And one thing I noticed too is you can't, can I copy? Let me go to Sublime. Yeah, you can't copy and paste it. I'm trying to paste it into my, yeah, you can't copy from here and paste it. So this is strictly a preview. Okay. Hold on. Okay, cool. So this is just a preview of CSS. Okay. So when you're going through Webflow, again, click things. It's not going to make sense when you first click it. It may get you frustrated, but that's the part of learning. You got to get frustrated first before it starts to click in your head. It's just like anything else in life. No one is born walking. You need to crawl first. You need to do tummy time first. You need to get the neck muscles working, and then it stresses you out. When you're starting to learn how to ride a bike, it's stressful, but you're learning every time. Every time you fall, you're learning. And so click things. Don't be afraid. Yeah. All right, so the next thing I want to talk to you about. Okay, so there's a lot of, not a lot, there's a couple of people who are coming from either a marketing or graphic design background that don't fully understand responsive design. And this is something I really want to go over. Some people would do this. Let me dragging a container. I'm going to drag in a heading and a paragraph. Okay, so we have container, heading, paragraph. And let's go ahead and put a placeholder image. Now, there's going to be times when if you don't understand responsive design, you're trying to put things in a certain place as if it was like Photoshop, where things are exactly where you want to put it. So I've seen people do this where they set the width and they're like, okay, that's what I want, but I want to put this image right here and I don't know how. This is getting confusing. So I've seen people find the position absolute and start moving this like this. And so they're thinking, oh, now I get it. I can put this anywhere I want. And so they do like this and they're like, okay, cool. However, when they go down here, they're like, wait, what happened to my image? Oh, okay, so I'm going to put it here and then I'm going to make it smaller. And then I'm going to make this smaller. It looks like it's working, right? If I go here, it works. If I go here, it works. And then I would just keep going down the line and fixing stuff one by one. So it looks good, right? Actually, wrong. This is not the way to do responsive design. The reason why is, watch this. If I drag in the edge of the canvas and start looking at it from different browser widths, it doesn't look good. So you may be wondering, all right, so if it gets here, let me just make a new breakpoint. And then when it gets here, let me make a new break. And so you have like so many little pieces of code, but the fundamentals are wrong. You want to create code that's clean and fluid. And when we mean fluid, we mean things will naturally stack. Okay, so let me drag in a layout real quick. Hero. Let me make this container. Let me cut it first. I'll paste it back in. So if you look here, it works. If I go here, look, that works too. But when I get here, watch what happens to the image. See how it grows fluidly? That's what you want when it comes to responsive design. So how do we fix if someone does something like this where the image is like this? Well, here's how you do it, okay? You don't use position absolute. Russ, it's okay. You're learning. Yeah, image positioning. People think that Webflow is kind of like a place where you can put elements anywhere. This is why I'm doing this stream. So don't worry. We're all learning. So if I want to put this to the side, you have to think about boxes within boxes. So I'm going to put heading and paragraph in one box. So I'm going to bring in a div block, heading, and paragraph. And now this container, it has two children, div block and image. All right? And so for this image, I'm going to remove the width and height. And we'll just set the width to 100%. And 100%, again, percentage of its parent. And I go over widths and heights in a in my previous YouTube video. So go ahead and watch that. So if I go here, oh, let's delete this. Let me delete this real quick. All right, so if I go here to the tablet, we're good. But if I go here, look what happens. See how it's growing and shrinking fluidly? That's what we mean by fluid responsive design. Okay, so let's put this all in one row. So I can go to this container, hit flex, now one row. What if we want this div block right here to be vertically centered with the image? We can go back to here and we have align center. And so now if we go here, we're good. We go here, look at that. If we go here, it doesn't quite fit, but that's why we can go here and set this direction to vertical. And there we go. You can even put the image first. How do you do that? Check this out. You can reverse. And then there we go. All right. I've seen people use positions absolute or even have margin negative something crazy like this, you know? You don't want to do that because when you have a negative margin, you're going to have not only a bad time, but you're also going to have a horizontal scroll bar, which isn't pretty. So don't use negative margins unless you know what you're doing. And don't use position absolute just to place things in a certain area because that's not real responsive design. Okay, so those are some of the very, very basics of Webflow. And now we'll just extend it for another hour, this stream, rather than just 30 minutes because I started late. Yeah. Any other questions? Zuki, welcome to the stream. Making images responsive, especially if there are multiple images with different aspect ratios. What's the best way to specify width height? Fixed pixel sizes can cause issues. Percentages. Use percentages. Okay? Making images responsive. Yeah, use percentages when it comes to widths. Okay, that's always good. You can also use max width. For example, let me turn off flex. Okay, so again, I go over widths and max widths in a previous YouTube video. Check out my channel. But here's a quick thing. So 100% of its parent. So the container is 940 pixels wide. How do I know that? Because I've been using Webflow for a long time, but I think the CSS preview, oh, it doesn't show it there either? So it says auto, but actually the width of this container is 940 pixels width. Okay, and that's why this image goes up to 940 pixels. And the aspect ratio, since the height is auto, the aspect ratio of this image will stay locked. But max width, I can say 550 pixels. And so the width is saying go as far as you can, 100% of your parent. But max width is go as far as you can, but up to 550 pixels. And so if I go here and then go here, now that 100%, because it's lower than 550 pixels wide, it does the scaling. Okay. Hope that helps. Wow, that was helpful. Yay, Ranjan. I'm glad I can help. Paula, welcome. If I just launched my e-commerce website on Webflow, that means I can probably close my HostGator hosting account, right? Yeah. So, let's see here. Yeah, just make sure that any data, or maybe make a backup of your site if you can from HostGator, and just keep that with you locally on a external hard drive or a Google Drive, Dropbox, whatever. Just make sure you have that just in case you need to refer back to it one day. Because once you close your HostGator account, that's it. Your data is probably gone. So back it up, then close your HostGator account and keep your site on Webflow, where you'll have more fun. Of course, that's biased, but I think everyone in this chat room realizes it's more fun on Webflow. So yeah. Anything else? Any other questions? Hold on, let me see here. Wait, someone else bought me coffee? Russell, thank you so much. Russ, is that you? Russ left you? Is that you? Bought me coffee? Thank you so much. And 20G, 20G, thank you. Good. So again, buy me a coffee.com/pixelgeek. Like, who was it? Russell Session from Nigeria. Thank you. And Colleen. Awesome. I understand collection list about 70%. Can you go over it? I need it for e-commerce. Yeah. Perfect. I was just about to ask you about CMS 20G. I got an hour. What's your question? Ranjan, I know it's slightly advanced, but do you think Barbara.js for page transitions would affect the pages? Ooh, I tried using Barbara and I failed. I need to keep trying more. I need to try. I've tried it like twice and I failed. But the person to ask is Micah, who's part of the customer support team at Webflow. He's the one who made that tutorial. I gotta ask him more. Maybe I should get him on the stream and help us understand it better. Or I should just watch his tutorial a little bit more. Yeah, one of those things. But what I do for page transitions is I just use the basic JavaScript that sets a timeout. Maybe I can go over that, but let me see here. 20G, you don't want me to answer your question? Uh-oh. YouTube says I'm airing out. YouTube is not receiving enough video to maintain a smooth stream. Are y'all seeing buffering? Uh-oh. Alright, well, let me know. Alright, just linking things together grid style like your other tutorial goes. I need an example of what you're talking about, 20G, so I can visually see what you want me to do as a tutorial. But yeah. Alright, cool, still playing. Alright, sweet. What, yeah. I guess I can go over page transitions. So page transitions, this is something I've went over in previous YouTube videos, but happy to do it for you all right here. Let me make a new window real quick. I need to find a project. So I worked on a project a while ago, and I'm waiting for the client to launch it live. And once he launches it live, then I can show everyone what I've done. What the? Whoa. Did everything just get bigger on the Webflow? I feel like these got bigger. The folder names and the site names. I think Webflow just pushed something just right now. Whoa. Font sizes got bigger. Anyways. Let me find page transitions. I gotta find the JavaScript code, so hold on. Nope, it's not there. So yeah, I'm not allowed to show the project until he's done. Yeah, until he's done launching it. But I got the code. And I'll paste the code in. I'll explain the code later. Let's delete this. And I'll make a stream clip of this too, just so people can see. Okay. All right. So, when you go from one page to another, you want some sort of transition to happen. Kind of like, let's do a transition like this, where it swipes. And then I go to another page, and then it swipes. Okay? So, we'll pick, we'll go ahead and make this happen. Let's go ahead and add a hero. So this is my first page, and then let's go to my second page. Oh, no, I want to go to the home page. Home. Hero page, and let's go to page, let's call it page 2. And I'm going to drag page 2 here. Oh, wait. No, I want to put level there. Okay. Whew. So we're on page 2, and page 2 will have a different look. So there we go. All right. So when I flip between these two pages, I want a swiping effect. All right. So here's how to set it up. Bring in a div block at the very top, and we'll call this page overlay. And we'll set the position to fixed and give it a z index of like 9, like a bunch of 9s. All right. Z index means it's on top of everything else. The higher the z index, the more on top it is on all the other elements. Okay, kind of like layering or something inside of Photoshop or Figma or whatever. How you want this to be on the foreground. Okay, and we'll set this to left. Okay. So what that means is if I set this to 250 pixels, let's give it a background color of black. So left means we're anchoring it to the top and to the left and to the bottom. So we don't have to do height 100%. The top and bottom of 0% pushes it to the very top and bottom of the page. The left, it keeps it locked to the left. So if I do width 0 and I want it to grow, this is what we're going to be doing. We're going to do like from 0%, and then it's going to be doing this animation, right? That's what we want to happen. And so see how it's locked to the left? If I did right, it's going to do the opposite. So see how if I do 0% and then 1, 2, 3, and so forth, it's starting from the right and going to the left. All right. But I want to do this type of transition where it starts to the left and goes to the right. That's why I'm going to start on the left. And we're going to set the width to 0. That's our starting point. Okay. Now, we need a second one. Okay, so I'm going to copy and paste, and we're going to duplicate this and call this page overlay intro. Okay, so the first one, actually, we'll call this one outro. So the first one is going to go left, start from the left and go to the right, and then the intro is going to start from the right and start as 100%, and then with interactions we're going to make it do this. Okay, does that make sense? So this overlay intro starts at 100% and then goes to 0 like that, and goes towards the right because it's anchored to the right. Whereas the outro will start at 0% and go 100% and go towards the right. So outro does this, and the intro does this. Making sense? All right. Now that we have that set up, let's go ahead and make a link. So this button is going to link over to the next page. So we can go to right here. This link setting page goes to page 2. Okay. And we need to copy these two things over. So instead of just copying one element and then pasting it over to the next page and then going back to get the next element and pasting it on the next page, I can just wrap these two, or I can group, if you want to call it grouping, in a div block. And there we go. So now these are children of this. So I can grab this and go to my page 2 and paste it and put this on top. And now I have both of these. All right. Now I'm going to go back to my home page. And this button goes to my page 2. So we've set up all the HTML. Now it's time for some interactions. Zuki, I'll talk about sensible class names. I don't mean BIM. I mean, what's a wrapper versus container? Yeah, I'll talk about that. All right. So if I click on button, it goes on to page 2. But before it goes to page 2, it needs to initiate an interaction. Okay. So let's, with the button selected, I'm going to go to interactions and element trigger. All right. And do a mouse click. So when I click on this button, do something. All right, hopefully you can hear me. Refresh the page if you need to. Okay, I think we're good. All right, cool. People saying it's good. All right, so I'm setting this initial state for this page overlay outro as 0%. And now, when I click on end, this is what I want the outro to look like when it's done with the animation. So I'm going to set the size of the page outro to 100%. Okay, so what it's doing is that animation. Okay, so I'm just setting the width to 100%. Now if I press play, it looks cool, but it can use a little bit more flavor. I don't know what to say, flavor. So this is where easing comes in. And so this drop down opens up a lot of stuff. And again, if you're new to Webflow and you keep clicking and you see so many different options, just play around with as much as you can and we'll start clicking. I know it gets overwhelming. I don't blame you, but you'll get it. So what this is different types of eases. So animation eases. So if I want to do like out quint, which is one of my favorites, notice it has a different speed to it. Or if I do in back, it looks a little bit different. Or bounce. Yeah, that was weird. Or you can just do, you know, out bounce. Yeah, so these are all, just play around with these. I usually use quart or quint, and it looks good. Okay, so that's what we want to happen. Now, if I publish now, actually, let me make sure that, let me remove the code real quick. So I'm commenting out the code so it doesn't break anything. I'll go over the code soon. We're not there yet. So if I publish right now, and I click button text, it doesn't really work. It looks like it works, but it doesn't. All right. So if the page loads faster than the outro interaction, you'll only see a little bit of that outro interaction. You need a way for the interaction to happen. Ali, welcome. Thank you so much for subscribing. You rock. So this is where the code comes in. You need a code to tell the browser, wait, hold on. Don't go to the next page until the interaction is done. Now that type of function is not available in Webflow natively. And this is where that custom code comes in. Okay? So, first we need to make a note of how long in milliseconds our outro is. So if I go to my timed animation and I click on my last step, you'll see that duration is 0.5 seconds. Okay? So half a second. In milliseconds, you can just say it's 5,000. No, it's 500 milliseconds. Okay? So let's go to the code. So keep that in mind, 500 milliseconds. Let me enable the code. All right. Let's learn some JavaScript. Now, or this is jQuery right here. So this is the thing that stops the browser from going to the next page and then waiting a certain amount of time and then going to that page it was intended to go to. Okay, so here we go. Script, end script. That's how you tell the browser, hey, I'm going to write some JavaScript or jQuery. So FYI, this is what's happening. And then the browser's like, okay, I'm going to change my thought. I'm going to change my processing from HTML to JavaScript. That's what this happens. All right. $. So the $, and then $, and parentheses. This means find an element on this page. Okay. So if I do $, parentheses, and then single quotes, then we're saying to JavaScript, hey, I want you to find a certain element with a certain name. And so we're going to say A. Okay? So A means link or anchor tag. So let me save this real quick and just show you the button right here. This is actually an anchor tag. That's A. And how we can find that out is, again, go to the export code, and that anchor tag is, where are you? Where are you? There it is. See this right here? A, and this A is going to page 2. Okay? So, find any anchor link, and when someone clicks on that anchor link, do something. And that's what function means. Do something. So again, when I click on an anchor link, do something. And now the E means an event. So we want to prevent the browser. Ooh, don't know how to say your name, but thank you for subscribing. So we want to prevent the browser from doing its default thing, okay, which is to go to the next page. So this is how we're stopping the browser from going to the next page. We're saying when you click on that anchor link, don't go. Don't move forward. Don't go to the next page. However, I want you to save that page URL right here. We want to save that page URL of that anchor link. Save it in the browser's memory because we're going to get there later. Okay? So right now, when I click on something, stop the browser from doing its thing, but now save the URL that it's actually supposed to go to into a variable, a memory that we call go to. Now this right here, set timeout, this is what is setting a timer in the browser. So we're setting a timeout, and when the timer is done, do something. That's what function means. And what that something is telling the browser, which is window.location, go to that URL that we saved in the browser. But how long is that timer? Well, so right here, it's set for 1 second. Okay, 1 full second. So we'll keep it as 1 second to show you that it's stopping. Okay, so I'm gonna save and publish. Now let's go to the page. Okay, so if I click on button text, wait 1 second and then go. Did you see it wait? Let's go back and press it again. Wait 1 second and then go. So that's the outro. Now all we have to do is do an intro. And again, if you have any questions, confused, I'm here for you. So now we got to go back to our interactions, but this time when we click on the lightning bolt, we're going to use a page trigger and do a page load. Now, when the page starts loading, no, actually no, we're going to do when page finishes loading, start animation. Create a new interaction called intro. Plus sign. Oh, nope, not yet. Not plus sign. I want to go to the navigator. That way I can see my elements. Press plus. No. I need to click on intro first because I want to set a timed action with the intro. Now I can press plus. I'm going to set the size. Set initial state. And affect class. So I want to make sure that I'm affecting the class, not that one element. I want to affect any elements with this class name. And set the width to 100%. So when the page first loads, it looks like this. And that's what initial state means. Now my ending, I'm going to set the size to 0% and give it an easing of out quint. So it looks like this. Happens really quick. Okay? So if I preview, it does that. We can even set a delay. Let's set a delay of 0.5. So that way we can see it a little bit more. There we go. So it doesn't happen right away. Okay. So we have our intro done. We have our outro done, and we have the custom code that stops the browser from doing its thing for a whole second. Now let's go ahead and publish. And let me open up that page. Intro, outro. Cool. Now we just need to set that same code and same interactions on every page. So if I go to get my code, I'm actually going to delete it from here because I want this code to happen on every page. So I'm going to delete it from here, go to my project settings, custom code, and paste it down here. And now every page on my website will have this code. So I don't have to copy and paste it on every page. Webflow just does it for me. Back in the designer, I can go to my next page. This button text right here, I'm going to make that go to page, go back to the home page. Also, I'm going to set element triggers. So same thing, mouse tap or click, start animation, and do my outro. Okay, cool, just double checking. So this one's my outro. And then for page trigger, on page load, when page finishes loading, I can do my intro. Yes, I will share the code via CodePen. Or you can get the code, yeah, I'm going to share this exact project, and I'll put the code in the project too. So I'm going to let you all clone this, okay? And so, yeah, it's done. All right, so let me refresh page 2. So there's my intro. Click on button text, outro, goes to next page, intro. Just like that. Makes sense? Woo, I'm gonna clip that one. Let's see here. Anything else? Okay, Zuki asked a question. All right, so Zuki asked a question. Code naming, or I mean class naming. I am not the best one to ask about that kind of stuff, because that gets confusing to me too. How I name things. How I name things is wrappers and containers. Yeah, what's the difference between a wrapper and container? I think that's up to you because I've used both. To me, I've used wrapper as a way to like the main parent of a group of elements. For example, let's see here. I would call this outro wrapper. You know, I can call that outro wrapper. Containers, I usually name it for things like, well, just like this, where it's a smaller box within a box. But I've been that, like, Zuki, again, I am not the best person to ask about class names. That's something that I still fail on, and it's hard for me to wrap my head around containers and class naming. I tried to make a stupid joke, but whatever. Yeah. Ranjan, fade in, fade out, page transition. Why am I dropping frames? Sorry about that, everyone. Fade out, page transition can be done with the same code. Fade out, if you have a white background, instead of doing ooh, Colleen, thank you. If you can link that in the chat room, that would help the session. Yeah, so you can just change the intros and outros to whatever your base background color is. So like say white or something, right? And then instead of doing from left to right, you can just do opacity from 0 to 100, and that's your outro. And then your intro is just 100 to 0 on the opacity using interactions rather than this right here. All right. So yeah, you can do any type of transition you want if it works with Webflow interactions. But the main thing to learn from what I just taught you all is the code. This is the magic code that makes the browser stop what it's doing, but save the link in the browser history, then wait for a timer to go off, and the timer's time is set to 1 second. And then once it's done with the 1 second, go to that URL. All right. 27 minutes left in this session, and then I'm gonna eat lunch. Oof! Thank you all so much for being here. And thank you all who's donated to my Buy Me a Coffee page. Or if you want to donate, it's the $ symbol in the chat box. But thank you all so much. I love teaching. I love this is again my happy place. I love to share what I learn in the most easiest way possible, because web design is confusing. But if I can break it down, at least for one person, in a way that helps, I'm glad to help. Zuki, one more question. My brain doesn't get the difference between global classes, combo classes. Good question. Yeah. Let's do that. So what is a global class? Oh, let me delete this. Actually, no. Don't want to delete it. Oh, yeah. There we go. There we go. So what's the difference between a global class and a combo class? So a global class is that first one. Combo classes are secondary classes that get added on. But then it gets confusing. So I understand. So let's make this button a global class. We'll call it button. Easier? Global button. Ooh, bigger. Even better. Global primary button. Yo, cool. Actually, just global button. Yeah, just global button, whatever. Change the color to purple. Round it out. There we go. Okay, so we've made a global style. And global style is usually just the first one. Now, if I add another button and say I want to add a style to that, there we go. So anything I change here will change here because they're using the same class name. However, if I give it a combo class, a secondary class, and say, we'll call this global button, but it has a combo class of blue, so I can change this color to blue. There we go. So this has all the styles of global button, but I've changed one thing. So this overwrites the purple. Okay? So if I change this purple to something else, notice how it doesn't change the one with the combo class. All right? If I set that same class name, this global style, to anything else, then it affects it. Give it a different font. Make sure that it's white. And so there you go. Notice how the fonts changed everywhere because this is a global style that I've applied on all three of these. If I go here and say global button, there we go. All of them changed. So that's a global style. Okay? So a lot of people like to let me see here. A lot of people like to create style guides. And I need to start doing this more. But hold on. I'm loading it on my dashboard. Okay, cool. So a lot of people like to make style guide pages in their projects. So for example, display 1, that's a global class. Display 2, 3, 4, and so forth. Button, that's a global style. And so people like to use this as a way to create a global style and apply it to all the elements across their whole site that apply it to their whole site that has that same global style class name. Zuki's asking, so blue can't be used as a global class. It can only be used as a combo class. Correct. Now here's the thing though. If I go back here, let's go ahead and heading and another heading. Say I set this to text blue. And we'll set this to text blue. And this one right here, we're going to give it padding 42. And so it has a padding of 42 on all sides. Okay? Now check this out. If I go to text blue and add a combo class of padding 42, look what happens. We can add a global class as a combo class. Confusing? Yes. Stay with me. So if I click this, what Webflow is doing is taking whatever CSS. Actually, can I preview? Interesting. It doesn't show it here. So what Webflow is doing is taking the first global class and the second global class and mashing them up. Okay? But if I go here to the padding 42 and change it, it also changes on that other element that has that global class. Okay? Now check this out. If I give this text blue, and if I go here, and if I click on the selectors and text blue, so this global class, and I start messing around with the height, or I mean the font size, it's changing them on both because it's a global class. Hopefully I've explained it. Hopefully. So where would people use this? So there's people that like to use global classes everywhere, where it's like, okay, in my style guide, I have padding 42, and then I have text color this, text color that, and column size this, column size that, and that way they're using class names as a way not just to name things, but to apply exact styles. Yeah. Sam Dickey, thank you so much for the donation. You rock. Yeah. So blue can be... So does that make sense? So if I did right here and gave it another combo class, just call it, I don't know, margin top 42. If I mess around with this, notice how it didn't mess around. It didn't add this same margin top to this one because it doesn't have margin 42. So if I try to add margin 42, it's not here because margin 42 isn't a global class. It's not a class that started out on its own. Hope this helps. Okay. Ranjan, no wait, Marcus, can I have a collection list with one static item in it? The static item must be fixed and the dynamic items wrap around the static one. No, you cannot, Marcus. Yeah, you can't. A collection list always has to have dynamic elements in it. You might be able to do what you're trying to do with custom code, but yeah, you can't. Ranjan, very often there is a huge difference in the layout between designer mode and preview mode. Sometimes, again, this designer mode. You'll notice a difference if you turn this on and off, that the screen, your canvas gets wider. And the reason why it gets wider is because all of the Webflow UI on the left and right get hidden, and so you get more space. So it'll look like your design changed, but no, it's just responsive design doing its thing. Okay, Zuki, I think I just got confused that you have a global class blue and a combo class blue, and they are not the same. So again, Webflow is just matching these two global classes together when you add two global classes together. So, yeah, I can see where the confusion is. That's why I don't really do it much. Object placement when you're doing a preview, and yeah, so objects, notice how this object is always going to hug the left. These three are always going to hug the left, but if I go like this, it's hugging the left, but it shifts. That's going to happen because the canvas size gets bigger or gets wider. And objects will shift depending on their parent. Like this right here is always going to be in the center, and it has a fixed width of 940 pixels wide, and so it'll always be in the center, and it doesn't look like it shifts. Yeah. Happy to help, Zuki. All right, last 15 minutes. One or two more questions, and then I gotta go eat. But yeah, again, thank you all so much for being here. I hope you've learned a thing or two. If you take anything away from the stream, don't use negative margins unless you know what you're doing. Position absolute is not going to be the way to place elements exactly where you want them to be. Think fluidly, use percentages more than exact pixels, as we've seen with the fluidity of elements that they can grow and shrink. And wash your hands. All right, Ranjan. For example, when one object is behind another in designer mode, but in preview mode it is totally away. Send me a link to your project if you can right now, your share link, and we'll go through it. Okay, Zuki, an easy one. Any Webflow gossip? Anything cool in the pipeline? So, obviously, I can't talk about what we're working on. I cannot talk about our roadmap, obviously. But in the Webflow blog, every quarter, we post what we're doing. Let's see here. Nope, not that one. Not that one. Not that one. Yeah, what we've been shipping. So every quarter, at the end of every quarter, Barrett, part of our marketing team, he gets with the project managers and they explain what they've shipped in the past quarter, which is a lot. But down at the very bottom of the blog post, you'll see what's coming up next. So This is going to be good. Nested symbols inside of symbols. How close is next nested collections, Tio? It's close. Again, whenever I talk about things, what I can say is that we yeah, that's exactly when the that feature is coming out. All right, but too long didn't read my lips. Soon. All right, so it's coming up soon. This is why we posted in the blog post. To let you all know with complete transparency, this is what we're working on. All right, so nested symbols is going to be good for like if you have a collection list and you want to put like a multi-reference tags, like you have a list of blog posts and you want to put the tags that we're working on. I mean the tags of that blog post. Right now you can't, but soon you'll be able to. Style overrides, that's already out, I think. Yeah, that's already out. Oh no, style. Sorry, not content overrides. So yeah, style overrides for nested for symbols. Um, yeah, so just go to this blog post. I'll link it. Yep, 20G. I'm always gonna mute myself whenever I'm talking about anything that's coming up soon because obviously I'm not going to say anything. And obviously when I'm pretending to talk, I'm not really talking. You know, I mean, when it comes to features, here's what I always tell people. It's easy to make something hard to use. It's hard to make something easy to use. And the Webflow team is taking the hardest route. Try to make the whole web design industry in one box. That is hard to do, but we're doing it, and we don't just put out the feature. We test the feature first. We get alpha testers, and we say, hey, does this make sense? Are you confused by using this? And we take our time to make sure that there's no bugs. We make time to make sure that it doesn't, when we come out with a new feature, it doesn't bug out any other older feature or any of the sites that are already live on Webflow. We want to make sure that it works. All right. Webflow merch. Logan, gotta come on time next time. Yes, watch the recording once we're done. But 20G, what's up with merch? So this is a topic that we've been asking for. The community has been asking for a long time. Will Webflow have a merch? We have e-commerce, so why don't we have a Webflow merch store? I mean, there's so many other things to tackle right now, and I wish I can say tomorrow, but it's not tomorrow. I don't know when, because it takes time, to do something right, and I have no news on that. And I will never have news about feature updates, release schedules, and stuff like that. So again, if you're asking here, you're asking in the wrong channel. What I would like to do though is find out from the PMs, like, hey, from the project managers, wouldn't it be cool if you just showed off a little bit of what you're working on? That would be cool, but I don't know when that's gonna happen. I want that to happen, kind of like what video game studios do when they tease out, like, hey, this is where we are right now, or here's what's coming up soon, and here's a video to prove that we're working on it, stuff like that. But yeah, yes, hit up Vlad, ask him when all the things, and I don't know if he'll even have the answer because everything's a moving target. Like, code is not 100%, is not always gonna work out all the time. All right. Any other questions? In I don't know if Webflow's still giving away shirts, but yeah, maybe ask the Webflow DM Webflow. Say, hey, you still giving out shirts? Oh, Prashant, you missed it. It's okay. You can watch the recording, but I'll be here next week, same time. How can I know when you are doing another live class of Webflow? Pablo, see the subscribe link? Hit it. Hit that subscribe link, and then you'll know when I go live. But put it on your calendar. Saturdays, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. What is that in GMT? I don't know. Someone let me know, or someone post in chat what's that in GMT. But every Saturday. What else? What else? And again, thank you so much to everyone who's donated to my coffee. Cheers. I'll link it. Someone wants to be anonymous. Thank you so much, someone. So someone, Russell, Session, 20G, and Colleen, thank you all so much. Love doing this for you, and I'm glad you feel that this content is valuable to you. Yeah. Last 7 minutes. My internet's slow, but I'm going to post it in the comment section once I create the link. But thanks for a ton for your clear explanation. My pleasure. Oh, and it was your first session. Oh, cool. Welcome. Oh, Sam Dickey, I missed it. How would I center align an image within a div block? Currently, I'm stuck with it in the top left. Yeah, I can answer that one, Sam. Let me go to a new page right here. Okay, so you may have an image. I'm guessing your image is like this. And let's just make it big, like 400 by 350. Give it a background color of that. Okay, cool. So you have this image and it's stuck to the top left, and you're like, I want to center it. How do I center? Yes, it's confusing to center stuff. So if you do like this, not gonna work, because that only works with things that are text. You do display block, it's not gonna, and then you try to center it, still not gonna work. But what you need to do is display block, or is it inline block? Yeah, so it has to be display block, and then clicking on this right here, which sets in a margin of auto on both sides. So what does auto on both sides mean? So if I remove both of these and say, let's give a margin auto on the left. So what it's doing is, CSS is telling the browser, move this away from the left as much as you can. Oh, I'm not showing my screen. Sorry, let's start over. See when Nelson gets excited about teaching? Okay, let's go back. 400, 250, 350, and there you go. All right, so if I want to center this with this, not gonna work. This doesn't align it. This doesn't align center. Even though you think it might, it doesn't. Why? The elders of the internet did it that way. And so to center it, you actually have to do display block and then margin auto. Okay, auto on both sides. So this one right here. So what is this actually doing? This margin auto on both sides. What it's doing is, if I set the auto on the left, it's saying, hey, push this away from the left as far as possible. Okay? And then on the opposite, if I do auto here, it's saying push this away from the right as far as possible. If you do auto on both sides, then both are pushing against the element, which makes it centered. So left is going, hey, and the right's going, hey. And so it's like, there you go. Prashant is switching from WordPress to Webflow after 4 years. Yes. Welcome to the future of web design. And you're learning from Rand Segal's course even better. How long will it take to be an expert? FYI, I don't consider myself an expert. I just consider myself a fan. I've just been clicking buttons I've been clicking buttons for 7 years. I've been clicking Webflow buttons for 7 years. I don't consider myself an expert. I just consider myself someone who wants to continue learning. So don't worry about how long it'll take you to become an expert. Just worry about learning something new every day. If you learn what a new button that you've never clicked on in Webflow before really means, and you understand the concept around that button, then you're an expert of that button. Move on to the next button tomorrow. Move on to the next button tomorrow. Keep clicking buttons. And there's this one, what's his name? I forgot that actor's name, but his quote is, "It takes 10 years to become an overnight success." And so I'm only on year 7, but maybe 1 year I'll be a success. All right. And what does success mean? I don't know, but just keep clicking buttons. Yeah. Rand got that game, bro. Hey, Nelson. Hey, John. What's up? Last 2 minutes. So again, thank you all for being here, being on the stream. I will see you next week, Saturday, 10 a.m. Pacific Daylight Savings Time. Bring it back to reality. I haven't read the news since I started streaming, so that's good. But out there, the real world, it's sad. And we all have to take care of each other. Please. Take care of each other by staying home. It's the easiest thing to do, but mentally it may become harder and harder. This last week, it rained all week long here in San Diego. And, not seeing the sun is depressing, especially in San Diego when you're used to the sun. So it got into my mind a bit. But now the sun's out, it's Saturday, and I'm streaming with all of you. You all make me happy by staying home. And when you go out, please wear a mask. Even if your local government doesn't say doesn't require you to wear a mask, just do it. The mask is not for you. The mask is for everyone around you. That mask is a symbol that you care. That you care enough that you don't want to get others sick. Because we don't know who's sick. Because we can't see it. But again, I wish like people could smell it. If it was a bad smell, then people would be wanting to stay home. People would want to stay at least 6 feet away from each other. People would want to use masks so that way we don't smell it. I hear honking. Anyways, take care of each other, please. And we'll get through this. Thank you all so much. I'll see you in the next one, the next video, the next stream. But as always, make the web beautiful together. See ya.